is good, yo? It's your boy Ty back here with another video, and in this video today, guys, we're going to be talking about all of the new all-time coaches added to NBA 2K23 MyTEAM. Some good ones that you guys should maybe look at picking up, as well as some budget guys that you guys might be able to get for that little bit cheaper. Now, before we dive any further into that, if you are new to my channel and have not yet, make sure you guys do smash that subscribe button as we are on the road towards 120,000 subscribers. Now, at the time I am recording this, a lot of these coaches are rare. Like, really rare. Like, some of these coaches you can't even find on the auction house. And I do expect a lot of these coaches to be kind of impacts for the foreseeable future. So expect them to get more and more common. But you guys can see, again, all of these new coaches added to my team. And, you know, a lot of these old coaches becoming a lot cheaper. So what am I getting at? How, you know, what am I even talking about? That's where we're starting today. So here's the deal. Even with these WNBA coaches, they're so cheap now. Now, even Kelsey Plum, obviously, has gotten maybe a little more expensive, but overall is pretty cheap. She's been going for like $5K. Chelsea Gray, who I think is incredible, going for $3,900. You know, those are some really, really solid coaches, but the reason they're so cheap is because of these all-time coaches. Now, let's start with, you know, the pink diamonds, or these aren't even pink diamonds. Let's start with the dark matter coaches. So you've got Phil Jackson, Bill Russell, you've got Erik Spoelstra, you've got Rudy Tomjanovich, who is a 7 seconds coach, and then you got Gregg Popovich, who is a pace and space coach. All of those coaches are dark matters. Then you got one for Steve Kerr as well as a dark matter, before I do believe these are all Galaxy Opal coaches when you do get down here. The craziest part to me is each and every one of these dark matter coaches give you a plus 10, which is just absolutely ridiculous, and there's one for everything. And that's not even me talking about when you go in here to the lifetime agendas, you know, you get a dark matter KC Jones as well. Now, he's obviously balanced, so I don't love the KC Jones. But let's talk about my favorite coaches and why it is a big deal. So here's the deal, okay? Every card you're basically going to be running now is going to be nearly perfect. Like, let's just look at a Domantas Sabonis. He doesn't really need plus 10 of anything. The reason you're going to want to get plus 10s is because guys like Ben Simmons, guys like Yao Ming, they can use a plus 10 3 ball, they can use a plus 10 speed, lateral quickness, whatever it's going to be. Guys like Big Z, they can use those types of things. Like Big Z, you don't think he needs a shoe? You don't think he needs a plus 10 coach? He does. And so that's where these coaches can be extremely valuable, is if you give one to Taco, it's going to make them a lot better. Now, if you got Don Nelson, I'd just keep him. But let's rank my dark matter coaches. So Triangle. Triangle is the first one. Now, I'm just going to go position by position and what Triangle gives you. If you have a Triangle point guard, so let's say for like a Magic Johnson, obviously he's invincible, but they upgrade the midi, the 3 ball, the interior, the defensive rebound, and passing IQ. That's not really what you're looking for. Now, if you go like invincible Tracy McGrady, so the shooting guard position, the Triangle is going to give you midi, 3 ball, driving layup, post move, defensive consistency. I can already sit up here and tell you guys, I do not like Triangle coaches. That's just me and my personal opinion. So any of these coaches, even down here, that have, obviously Doc Rivers is post-centric, but any of these other coaches that are Triangle at their respective tiers, I'm not going to sit there and hype up. I do not like the Triangle coaches in general. So for Phil Jackson, I don't love it. Let's look at Bill Russell. Bill Russell's defense. We know what defense is going to be like, okay? So if you give a defensive coach, you're looking at perimeter, lateral quickness, block, and strength. I mean, I will say you can do a lot worse than that. You can, okay? You can do a lot worse than a defensive coach, because even on a big man, on a center, if you give a defensive coach to a big man, they get interior, perimeter, strength, offensive, and defensive rebounding. That's not horrible. And so, sure, if you're running, you know, Yao, if you're running Zion, or not Zion, Yao, Big Z, even Taco, I don't mind defensive coaches. So Bill Russell could be solid in that, and even of these Galaxy Opal coaches that happen to be defense. Obviously, again, some of these aren't even on the auction house. I don't mind at all. Let's look at Erik Spoelstra. He's grit and grind. So what is grit and grind? Well, I gotta say, I don't mind grit and grind either because, they, for centers, upgrade the defense. Now, if you're looking, for a guard, what is a grit and grind coach going to do? Well, then you're looking more of a 3-ball, driving layup. But again, defensively, for the small forward position, they upgrade both the perimeter and lateral quickness. Again, the problem is, a lot of these guards are going to be nearly perfect, and so that's, the problem with with having a grit and grind coach. We're looking at perimeter, lateral quickness, 3-ball for most of them. I don't mind grit and grind, but for me, it's not necessarily my favorite. Then you get to the 7 seconds. And if you know me, you know I love 7 seconds coaches, because that's what Kelsey Plum is, and most of you guys at least know I love Kelsey Plum. So, for example, let's go to Taco Fall. What does Kelsey Plum do to Taco Fall? The 3-ball, the speed, the driving dunk, the midi all go up, as well as defensive rebounding. The other guys, Yao can obviously use a lot of these coaches because he's not perfect either. You're looking at 3-ball and speed. If you can give Taco and Yao 3-ball and speed, you're looking a lot better. So even for like the Titans Yao, his speed would go to a 92, his 3-ball would go to a 90. If you're looking at a base Taco and you're talking about 7 seconds, his 3-ball would go to an 83 and his speed would go to a 74. Then if you apply a speed shoe, you're looking at a 78 speed for Taco Fall. So yes, if you're talking about my favorite coach in the entire game, Rudy Tomjanovich is definitely up there. No doubt about it. I think personally for me, I like 7 seconds even more than I like pace and space. So how I'd rank these overall, I go Rudy Tomjanovich number 1, Gregg Popovich number 2, because I love pace and space. Because if you're looking, at Yao, and you give Yao a pace and space coach, right, which is like a Don Nelson, even like a Monty Williams, the speed, interior, and perimeter defense go up. So I always like speed more than anything, and that's where Gregg Popovich would be just fantastic. Even for Manute Bol. I know a lot of you guys that do get these best of the best coaches, you're going to have Manute. He could use a plus 10 3-ball. He could use a plus 10 speed, plus 10 perimeter. And so that's where I think these coaches are really going to come in. Handy is for all these tall players, Big Z, Taco, Manute, all of these giants that can get a lot of those attribute upgrades. That's where they're going to come in. Now, are any of these, even perimeter centric, I got to break that down. Are any of these coaches, in my opinion, worth the price? No, but they are really solid. Now, perimeter-centric is good for one reason and one reason only. It upgrades the ball handle. So if you want Manute Bol to get like that 85 ball handle, Steve Kerr is going to be a good option for you guys. I don't think I like perimeter-centric more than either 7 seconds or pace and space, but it probably is the third best option. So honestly, as far as dark matter coaches, I'd go Rudy Tomjanovich, Gregg Popovich, and then Steve Kerr. And that's how it goes all the way down. So for me, obviously 7 seconds, pace and space, perimeter centric. That's how I'd rank these. That's how I'd go. And so even for these budget coaches, pace and space plus 8. This coach is basically going to be the exact same as Don Nelson. So if you've got Don Nelson, boom, there you go. If you got Don Nelson, I really wouldn't even worry about upgrading it. But here you guys go. Here's an option for everybody that did not get Don Nelson, okay? And again, it goes all the way down even for these budget coaches. But there's a lot of good coaches in my team. And that's something you guys can even go in here and look at. Like, you could honestly, if you want to, I think you can search by coaches and look at all the dark matter coaches in my team. And here you guys go. You guys can see each and every one of them. And honestly, if you wanted to snipe them, you probably could do that as well. Galaxy Opal coaches, you can see them all. Again, Nick Nurse, really good coach. Leno Hollins, really good coach. I don't like the triangle. Post-centric's not my favorite either. Pace and space, Ty Lue, good coach. Any of these pace and space options, really good. I don't like balanced either. Okay, and you can go through this all the way down. Pink Diamond, probably your best option as far as a budget coach. In my opinion, this is where you're going to get your best budget options in my team. And what are you really looking for? Well, grit and grind's not bad, but probably perimeter centric here is what you'd be looking at if you did want to go with a Pink Diamond option. I don't really love any there for their specific value. But even if you wanted to go with a diamond, pace and space, Monty Williams for $17K at this point is really cheap. I like Kelsey Plum though. I will still hold true to it. Kelsey Plum, in my opinion, is the best budget coach in the entire game. Because look, 7 seconds. I told you that's my favorite, and you're getting +5. Yes, Monty Williams is good. Yes, any of these pace and space options, like Monty Williams, Sabrina, any of the pace and space options are fine as well. Even Teresa Witherspoon, like these are all fine. But for me, the best value coaches in the entire game are Kelsey Plum, who I've already talked about quite a bit. But even this this girl right here is a really good budget option in Chelsea Gray, right? That's what I'd recommend for you guys. Sure, these dark matter coaches are awesome, but when you can get Kelsey Plum for 8,000 MT, that's tough to beat. When you can get Chelsea Gray for 4,000 MT, that's tough to beat. Now, maybe when these coaches become more common, that's when you'll be able to get them for even cheaper. But again, obviously, if you're trying to have the best squad in the game, look no further than this guy right here in Rudy Tomjanovich, who I do believe is your best coach in my team. That's going to wrap it up for our video today, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the new coaches added to my team down below in the comments. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys, and have a blessed day.